Your New York Jets kick us off this week with Thursday night football. The Jets are traveling to New England to face the New England Patriots. It's Rob Gronkowski week with him officially retiring as a member of the New England Patriots. They're coming off of a road win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're just straight up one of the hottest teams in the NFL. And the Jets, well, they've unfortunately, it feels like, been on the headlines for non-winning reasons, but coming off a big win this week. How do we feel about the Jets' chances going into New England? You want to talk about the Jets or you want to talk about the Patriots?
I'll go with the Jets' offensive side. And obviously, they've won 2 games in a row, and Justin Fields was good a couple weeks ago against the Bengals. But this past week, with less than 60 passing yards again, that's the third time in the last 4 games that he's had less than 60 passing yards. Plus, Garrett Wilson is going to be out multiple weeks. So, as we know, if the Jets are going to win it all on offense, they're going to have to run the football. And the guy who is having a resurgent year for him is a guy that they did not trade at the deadline, and maybe they'll extend him in the offseason, is Breece Hall. He's had a solid year both running and catching the football. Had the big 42-yard touchdown on the screen pass last week. That was the Jets' only offensive touchdown. But you look at Breece Hall being really the one big threat now in this Jets offense. 24th in rushing grade, 4.8 yards per carry, is solid, 4th in the league in explosive 10-plus yard runs, and also very good as a receiver this year, 11th among qualified running backs. This has to be the focus, really. All the gravitational pull on New England's defense should go towards Breece Hall in this game. If you slow him down, the Jets don't have too many other options on offense. That's both in the rushing and the receiving game. Obviously, Braylon Allen's been out for a while. Isaiah Davis has played relatively well, but this Jets offense is basically right now the offensive line and the Breece Hall show. If New England can slow him down, especially with Robert Spillane and their front seven, the way the run defense is playing lately, then they'll probably hold the Jets to a pretty low point total, and then they just have to do something the Cleveland Browns couldn't do and not give up 2 kick return touchdowns.
Right. You can't be giving up 2 special teams touchdowns and expect to win the game. Even the Jets will beat you if that is the case. You know, when we're talking about the New England Patriots on their side of things with the offense, Drake May's been fantastic, right? He's been in the MVP conversation. He's a big reason why this team is playing the way that they are and why they are so successful. But outside of 3 or 4 like explosive plays, kind of broken plays against the Buccaneers last week, the Buccaneers actually defended the run pretty well, and they actually defended Drake May pretty well. Now, it was those big plays that ended up being the reason why they lost, and of course, you can't give those up. But I wanted to try to find, okay, where was the truth, and how did Todd Bowles, for the majority of the game, force Drake May to struggle in a way where we really haven't seen too much of that from him this season? And what I found, Dalton, is that, you know, I was like, okay, did he struggle under pressure? Because Todd Bowles likes to blitz quite a bit, and it's like, well, he didn't really struggle that much under pressure. But then as I kind of dug into the tape and where some of his lowest graded passes or incomplete passes, just ones where he was really struggling, it was when the Buccaneers actually dropped more guys in coverage. So when we think of Todd Bowles, we think of how aggressive he is, how he likes to send more guys in the blitz, all that good stuff. But in reality, the plays in which Drake May really struggled the most were those simulated pressures, those mug looks where the Bucs had a lot of defenders at the line of scrimmage, and they were sort of, like walking around the line of scrimmage. You don't know where the pressure's coming from, and then boom, the ball is snapped, and then all of a sudden there were 6 guys towards the line of scrimmage, but now 2 of them are fully retreating back into coverage. 1 of them is a linebacker or a safety spy on Drake May, and then it was really only 3 players who were rushing. When you look at May last week versus the Buccaneers, 50.5 passing grade when the Buccaneers dropped 8 or more in coverage. And like I said, they would show that simulated pressure look. A lot of them would drop back, but they also had that linebacker. A lot of times it was Lavonte David, who would then be in a spy role so that if the Buccaneers were to get pressure with one of those 3 guys, which normally they could get a little bit of it, Drake May, as he would roll out of the pocket, boom, that linebacker, whoever the spy was triggering down on him and saying, okay, now you got to get rid of the football because now I'm coming to sack you or tackle you at the line of scrimmage, whatever it is. So every time that Drake would maybe get out of the pocket, put his eyes back upfield, then there's so many guys in coverage, a lot more than he's used to seeing, because a lot of times it was pressuring him via the blitz, so there were less guys in coverage. I took that to more of a season whole scope because I wondered if it was just a bad day at the office for him in that regard. Drake May has a 42.0 passing grade when facing 8 or more guys in coverage, and he has an 85.2 when it is 7 or less. So I'm not saying that like the blueprint is out on how to defeat Drake May, but it's very interesting that even though they beat the Buccaneers and they got those big plays, for the majority of the contest, what Todd Bowles was throwing at him, he was not ready for, and he was not playing nearly as confidently as he has before. So I'm curious if the Jets take anything away from what Tampa was able to do, if they put more guys back in coverage, or if they kind of stay a little bit more aggressive. We'll see. Ultimately, I think Patriots win this game. I think they win it convincingly. Maybe not scoring as many points as some might think, but 24-7. That is my final score here, and I'm going to have the Patriots win this one.
Yeah, it's a good call you make on May, but the Jets' defense still usually stays pretty aggressive. Aaron Glenn likes blitzing. He likes his man coverage, and I think, look, part of the answer to that, too, is the Patriots have to run the ball a little bit better. Now, they got a couple home runs with Travion Henderson last week, so maybe that's the start of something there, but they need to be more consistent in the run game to stay out of those situations where you would see those drop eights and spies and things like that. But you're right. I mean, I think New England, obviously, just they're the home team here. It's a short week. The Jets coming off 2 wins, and they're playing a little bit better, especially on defense since Jermaine Johnson got healthy. I think Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald against the 2 Patriots tackles, Will Campbell and Morgan Moses, is going to be a fun matchup. But at the end of the day, the Jets just don't have enough offensive firepower here to go in and compete with New England's offense. 28-10 New England for me.
I agree with you.